Evolution. It's one of the most widely taught and fiercely defended theories in science. But what if it's not as solid as you've been told? From the origin of life to the incredible complexity of living organisms, there are questions evolution simply can't answer. Today, we're counting down the top 7 biggest flaws in evolution theory. Stick around until the end because flaw number 1 might just make you rethink everything you thought you knew. Flaw number 7, the origin of life problem. Let's begin at the very start, or rather the part where evolution doesn't even get off the ground. Evolution is supposed to explain how life changes over time, but it completely skips over the crucial question: how did life begin in the first place? Picture the first living cell. Even the simplest single-celled organism is incredibly complex, containing DNA, proteins, and a membrane to protect its contents. Evolution can't start working until you have a living organism, so where did that first cell come from? Scientists have proposed theories like chemical evolution, where molecules somehow assembled themselves into life, but this has never been demonstrated. Consider this: the odds of random molecules forming even a single functional protein are astronomically low, and proteins are just one part of a cell. Without a plausible explanation for life's origin, evolution has no foundation to build on. It's like trying to write a novel without a first chapter. Flaw number 6, missing transitional fossils. Evolution predicts a gradual process where species evolve step by step over millions of years. So if this is true, the fossil record should be overflowing with transitional forms, those in-between species showing the slow transformation from one kind of creature to another. But when we look at the actual fossil record, that's not what we see. Instead, we find species appearing suddenly and disappearing just as suddenly. Take the supposed evolution of whales from land-dwelling mammals. Evolutionists claim there's a clear lineage, but the fossils show huge jumps between species with no intermediate forms. Where are the thousands or millions of missing links that should exist? Even Darwin himself struggled with this. He admitted in On the Origin of Species that the lack of transitional fossils was the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. Over a century later, this problem still hasn't been solved. Flaw number 5, irreducible complexity. Now let's talk about something that's caused a lot of controversy: irreducible complexity. This idea challenges the very core of evolutionary theory. It says that some biological systems are so complex, they couldn't have evolved through small, gradual changes because they only work when all their parts are present and functioning together. Let's use the bacterial flagellum as an example. This tiny molecular machine acts like a propeller, allowing bacteria to swim. It's made up of about 40 different proteins, all working in perfect harmony. If you remove just one of these parts, the entire system stops working. So how could this system evolve step by step? Half a flagellum isn't useful. It wouldn't give the bacteria any survival advantage, and natural selection would have no reason to preserve it. The same is true for the human eye. It's often compared to a highly advanced camera with a lens, an iris, and a retina. If any of these parts didn't exist, the eye wouldn't work at all. How can a system like this evolve bit by bit? It points more to intentional design than random chance. Flaw number 4. Genetic mutations aren't that helpful. Mutations are supposed to be the driving force of evolution. The idea is that random changes in DNA produce new traits, and natural selection keeps the beneficial ones. But here's the reality. Most mutations are harmful or neutral, and they don't create the kind of complexity we see in living organisms. Think about it like this. DNA is like a highly detailed instruction manual for building and maintaining life. A mutation is like a typo in that manual. Occasionally a typo might have no effect or even a small benefit, but most of the time it causes problems. And here's the kicker. Mutations don't add new information to the manual. They only change or delete what's already there. How can evolution build complex organisms from a process that's essentially breaking things down? Another issue is the sheer number of beneficial mutations needed to create new structures like wings or eyes. The odds of all these mutations happening by chance in the right sequence and being preserved by natural selection are so low, it's practically impossible. Flaw number 3, the Cambrian Explosion. The Cambrian Explosion is one of the most baffling events in Earth's history. About 540 million years ago, life suddenly exploded, with an incredible variety of complex organisms appearing in the fossil record. We're talking about fully formed animals with eyes, legs, and skeletons, like trilobites. But here's the problem. There's no evidence of these creatures gradually evolving from simpler forms. The Cambrian Explosion defies the slow, gradual process predicted by evolution. It's as if nature just flipped a switch and said, "Let's go!" Scientists have tried to explain this sudden burst of life, but no theory fully accounts for it. Doesn't this sound more like creation than evolution? Flaw number 2, consciousness and the mind. Consciousness is one of the greatest mysteries of all time. Evolution might explain how physical brains developed, but how does it explain the mind, the ability to think, feel, and experience the world subjectively? Let's think about this. A brain is just a collection of neurons firing electrical signals. But somehow this produces things like love, morality, and creativity. How? Evolution can't answer that question. Even leading scientists admit that the origin of consciousness is a hard problem. Some have even suggested that it points to something beyond physical processes, a hint that we're more than just material beings. Flaw number 1, fine-tuning of the universe. And now for the biggest flaw of all, the fine-tuning of the universe. Evolution depends on a universe that's perfectly calibrated for life. But how did such a precise system come about by chance? Let's break it down. Constants like gravity, the speed of light, and the strength of atomic forces all fall within an incredibly narrow range that allows life to exist. If any of these constants were even slightly different, stars couldn't form, planets wouldn't exist, and life would be impossible. The odds of this happening by chance are so staggeringly low, it's like flipping a coin and landing on heads a trillion times in a row. Does this incredible fine-tuning point to random processes, or is it evidence of a creator who designed the universe with life in mind? It's a question evolution can't even begin to answer. So there you have it, the top 7 biggest flaws in evolution theory. Does this mean evolution is completely false? Not necessarily, but it does mean we should question it critically, just like any other scientific theory. What do you think about these flaws? Are they deal breakers, or is there more to the story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves a good debate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.